Hello, Eurocon 2020. My name is Adam Beaton. I'm the Outreach Division Head for DisCon III, the 79th World Science Fiction Convention. And I am here with the co-chairs of DisCon III, the 79th World Science Fiction Convention. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Bill Lawhorn, one of the co-chairs of DisCon III.
Hi, and I'm Colette Fazard. I am the other co-chair of DisCon III, and we're really happy to be here presenting at Eurocon.
So why don't you tell everyone a little about DisCon III, the dates, the location, maybe people that are watching this don't really know what Worldcon is in the first place and why we're talking about DisCon III when we're talking about Worldcon.
Well, I think we should start off right away with our planned day. Our scheduled dates are August 25th through the 29th of 2021 in Washington, D.C. The name DisCon III relates to there having been two prior Worldcons in Washington, D.C., one in 1963 and then one in 1974. So it'll been 57 or 47 years since the last time DC hosted Worldcon. Worldcon is the World Science Fiction Convention. It is a general, all-purpose science fiction convention for a little heavier focused on literature, but it does a little bit of everything from gaming to author panels to workshops to displays and science presentations. And of course, then there's the business of running the convention, which is another special kind of deal. Something Colette knows way too much about.
Definitely. Basically, the best comparisons we can think of is that if you heard all of your friends talking about how much fun they had in Helsinki in 2017 and how much fun they had in Dublin, Ireland last year, those were Worldcons, Worldcon 75 and Dublin 2019 respectively. And we are here to bring all of this fun, to Washington, D.C. next year.
Are there any specific things that make Worldcon unique as opposed to, say, Eurocon? What makes Worldcon stand out?
I think the big thing there is the Hugo Awards. That is a fan awards for best novel, best short story, best editor, best long form fiction or movies and displays. So there is a lot of prestige related to winning the Hugo, and members of the World Science Fiction Convention have the right to nominate and vote for those awards. That's that, and each Hugo, although it has the same rocket, each base is a little different. So there's some variation between the years. They often have some sort of really special meaning behind the base. I think Colette can talk about the Helsinki base.
Well, yes. DisCon III is looking to design our base for the Hugo Award is going to be from Washington, D.C. and based and sort of designed from a lot of the stuff in the area. It's usually a big secret. It's always a great reveal at the start of the Worldcon, so I can't say any more than that. But the Hugo Award is the longest running science fiction award. Really, once an author has won one, you will see Hugo Award winning author on their books really for the rest of their career. It's really considered a very strong honor that a very passionate community of science fiction and fantasy fans come together to give this award
and recognize what's really making a difference. If you've watched the Hugos recently, we had N.K. Jemisin win the best novel 3 years in a row, which is unheard of. Those are some of the marks that really stand by. And then there's new things and fun things like, we're just a couple years in and to the best series award for Hugos to nominate those longer works that are taking, that develop over time. And sometimes, something comes out and people don't catch it right away. And all of a sudden, you're 2 books in or 3 books in. Is it really the best novel anymore? Maybe not, but as a longer work, there's a great potential for it.
So speaking of authors and artists, I know that we're planning on having some at our Worldcon at DisCon III. If you'd like to maybe bring up who our guests of honor are and why we've selected them as our guests.
You know what?
Very excited.
I think one thing we should do is we'll start with one of Europe's finest artists, who is our guest of honor, John Harris. His work is phenomenal. He's been around and doing it for years, and we are really looking forward to displaying his career at our convention. It's one of the things that you'll find when you look at guests is they tend to be from all over. It's not just local to the city or the country. It's from all over. And as you go through our guest list, you'll see that we've got some people from around, although there are often some ties to the DC area, just because of DC is a transient city, so people have lived here and they move on. So, and sometimes that's happened where we have some people like that.
I'll go down the rest of our guest of honor. Nancy Kress is our author guest of honor. She has been an author for over 30 years and has won several awards, including the Hugo Award and Nebula Awards also. Malka Older is one of our special guests. She has already been nominated for a Hugo Award for Best Series, and she has lived in Washington, D.C. before, but is now living internationally. Our other special guest is Cherie Renee Thomas. She is an author in specializing in a lot of fantasy and Afrofuturism. We're very excited to have her.
I think this is a great point to mix in that they're not just special guests. Cherie and Malka are also the hosts for us for the Hugo Awards ceremony this year.
So, and then we have two more guests of honor. We have Tony Weisskopf, who is our editor guest of honor, who has taken on the incredibly strong mantle of being the editor-in-chief of Baen Books. Taking it from when Jim Baen retired and then passed away. Really just a strong publishing powerhouse for science fiction and fantasy. And then last but not least, in any way whatsoever, we have our fan guest of honor, Ben Yallow. Many of you may know him because he is warm and available and accessible to really work with so many fanish groups all over the world. DisCon III will be his 50th consecutive Worldcon that he has attended. So we thought that it was a great time to honor him as our fan guest of honor so he can take a year off from working.
Although, no, actually, because of 50 years, he didn't make it to DisCon 1, but he was at DisCon 2.
So we've said that DisCon is going to be taking place in Washington, D.C., but can we be a little more specific? Specifically, where in Washington, D.C. are we holding our event?
At this time, we have two hotel venues which are right across the street from each other. The first one is the Marriott Wardman Park Hotel, and the other one is the Omni Shoreham. We have all of the function space and all of the sleeping rooms in both hotels. So it's really going to be nice because one of the differences, I think, a lot between European conventions and in U.S. conventions is that a lot of hotels in the United States tend to have a lot of function space, and they will so that you can have all of your sleeping rooms and then a lot of your activities in the same building. And so we are very fortunate in that we have these two large hotels right across the street from each other. So we're going to have a lot of space available for our activities.
And on top of that, they're unique in another way in that both those hotels in a city proper have a lot of green space. We were down doing a walkthrough, and the gardens at the Omni Shoreham, they are spectacular and just worth taking a walk through, even if you do nothing else. Get out in the morning, go through a walk, see their gardens, go through their gazebo. It's there, and they have lots of beautiful seating area outside as well. So those are things that fans can take advantage of for more things. And it's also some area where we could maybe do something outside during the convention.
So, and then both hotels are also located next to a national park here in Washington, D.C., Rock Creek Park, which has biking and jogging paths, really nice. Lower part of that trail goes along the Potomac River. Both hotels are just across the street from a metro stop, which it's on the Metro Red Line, and 3 stops you're in downtown Washington, D.C., with all of the attractions and free museums that Washington, D.C. has to offer.
And then, of course, the other nice thing about the Metro is if for people coming in from from Europe, the metro is scheduled to be open from Dulles International Airport, so that people can come directly, get on metro, and with one transfer go to the Woodman Park. Also, people who are out, who happen to fly into the Baltimore-Washington International Airport, Thurgood Marshall, there is the MARC train, which connects at certain times. You can schedule so that you can take the MARC train down to Union Station, and then you have about 5 stops from the Red Line into that. So there are train routes, and of course there's always opportunities for taxis and Ubers and Lyft and things like that in order to get to the hotel. But it is very nice and convenient to be able to do that. And plus there are DC circulator buses right there that help you get to some of the other neighborhoods that aren't really right next to metro, like Georgetown, and it's not Cleveland Park.
Adams Morgan?
Adams Morgan. That is the correct one. Thanks, Colette.
No problem.
Well, we've hit 2 different topics at the same time that I wanted to bring up, but let's go with the first one first. Let's say that we've convinced the folks in Europe that they want to come over and participate in DisCon 3. How is someone going to do that? Obviously, they're probably going to fly. What kind of a flight situation are we looking at for cities in Europe getting to Washington, D.C.?
The primary international airport for Washington, D.C. is Dulles International, airport code IAD. There are daily flights to daily nonstops to almost every major city in Europe. Certainly, London, Dublin, Berlin, Frankfurt,
Paris,
Rome, in Spain, Madrid, Lisbon. It's incredible. Very, very accessible.
Can't argue with that. Everything she said, spot on.
Okay, I would hope not. I would hope you wouldn't argue with that. And then the second topic would be, if someone's probably coming to Washington, D.C. From Europe, they probably want to make a bit of a trip before it. I would imagine they want to try and see some of the sites. You've mentioned a couple of them, but maybe if you could expand on that. If someone was coming to Washington, D.C. for the very first time, what are some of the things that you two would recommend that they can't miss? If you're coming to our city, you have to see these things.
It really is going to depend on the individual. Depending on the individual, there are things that people absolutely won't want to miss. For the fans of history, you've got the Smithsonian Museum and all its annexes, the American Natural History Museum. There are great displays always going on. There's a postal museum for people who like stamps. You've got, for the space enthusiasm, there's 2 parts of the Air and Space Museum. There's the downtown facility, Air and Space Museum, which is undergoing some renovations, but they're making and modernizing that facility a great way. And then when you get further out, there's the Udvar Hazy Center, which has some of the larger displays like the Enola Gay, the SR-71 Blackbird, and the Space Shuttle. So like those are there. But then there's other people who just like architecture. And so there's the monuments. You've got the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument. The World War II Memorial, it's because the thing is, in that one little walk, you can go from the Washington Monument, you pass the World War II Memorial, you can go quickly, or you're then on the way to the Lincoln Memorial, you can stop and you can see the wall, which is a memorial to the Vietnam War. And then there's so many other things. Plus there's things like Ford's Theater, where you can go in and do a tour. There's the Spy Museum, and and that's just the museums. And then there's things that is really important to some people. Food. DC.
Important to a lot of people.
I mean, we do need it to survive.
I have eaten food from time to time myself.
But the thing about that is DC brings in people from all over the world, and people from all over the world bring their food to DC. Mm-hmm. So there are a huge number of amazing restaurants within DC and the surrounding areas. There's actually quite a bit close to the hotel.
I've eaten Georgian food in Washington, DC. I have eaten Croatian food in DC. I mean, wherever you are coming from in Europe, if you are coming to DisCon 3 next year and you absolutely have a craving for, home country cooking, you will be able to find it in DC. It's wonderful, just incredible, diverse culinary culture here that it's as if you're, taking a world trip, with your stomach, just going around to different restaurants. We've got a great restaurant scene right by the hotels. We've got a brew pub, we've got Japanese, Indian, good old American cooking, Lebanese taverna. which is Middle Eastern food, crawfish. If you guys want to do, a Southern U.S., crawfish boil, you can do that too. Just an incredible variety.
And then there's a pretty quality restaurant that's just down the hill too, which has something that's for some people is even a bigger thing. The gin bar. What is there? 100 different gins in the bar, plus all
150 about.
Yeah. So a little bit for everything, and then there's a for the people who are interested, there is a pretty decent liquor store just across the street there as well, for people who like to have a bottle to share with friends. Okay.
So if someone is coming from Europe, how would you recommend that they dress? What's the weather like in Washington, D.C.? America's a very big place. What one American city is in August is completely different from another American city in August. So in Washington, D.C., what is it generally like? What's the weather like in Washington?
It can depend. We won't lie. In July and early August, it can be fairly hot and humid. Anywhere ranging between about 25 to maybe 31 C, even some. By the end of August, when we will be, it does actually start cooling off a little bit. We won't lie, it'll probably be around like 25 to 27 C or so. So bring your shorts, bring your t-shirts, but your hotel room will have air conditioning. The function space will have air conditioning. Most restaurants that you go to, unless you make a conscious decision to sit out on there, like if they have a patio seating area and you sit out there, there will be quite a bit of air conditioning. You can sort of, whatever climate you feel comfortable in, you should be able to account for that while moving around the city and enjoying the restaurants and the museums and such.
Although I will definitely recommend taking a moment right before you're getting ready to leave to check the forecast in our area to see, because as Colette noted, there's a range, and getting towards the end of the month, which is where we're at, there's oftentimes what we call the perfect week of August.
Oh, yeah.
In August, pretty much every year there's 1 week which is really reasonable temperatures, relatively low humidity, and it's the first one in weeks, and you're outside and you're just like, this is a great day, and there's a chance that that's going to be our week.
We've asked Mother Nature. We don't know if she's going to come through. We've put the request in. We want to make that clear. So, crossing our fingers.
Fingers crossed. Now, something that I wanted to bring up that I'm sure a lot of European fans are thinking of in the back of their minds if they're deciding whether or not they want to. Well, that they actually want to come over to DisCon, and that is, of course, the current situation going on with COVID-19.
That situation.
That situation, yes. Now, as some people might be watching this may not be aware, the most recent Worldcon, Con Zealand, which was taking place in Wellington, New Zealand, decided to go 100% completely virtual, completely digital, because of concerns regarding COVID-19. So obviously, neither of you, and I certainly don't, we can't predict the future, but what steps are we taking, and what's the general thinking regarding what the situation is going to be like once our convention does come up in August of 2021?
All right. So one of the things Colette and I have talked about since the very beginning, even during bidding, was that we wanted to see more virtual participation. And so we planned to have more involvement rather than just the Hugos and the Masquerade. So we'd been planning that for quite some time. Now, obviously the game has stepped up a little bit here recently with the virtual, and the technology is improving all the time. So we are looking at, ways to make sure that people can participate virtually as program participants. That was always part of our plan, and now we'll be looking at not fully virtual and not a full hybrid where everything is broadcast, because there are technology limitations that we recognize in a hotel. There just isn't the bandwidth typically to broadcast everything. So based on cost, cost of all the technology, volunteers, because you can't do anything at Worldcon without volunteers. So if you'd like to volunteer, we'd love to have you. And as well as people's willingness to be videoed and be put on the web, because there are people who are hesitant to do that, and we want to respect people's privacy. So, but given those stipulations, I think in a worst case scenario, we'd like to make sure that we broadcast guest of honor activities, and then hopefully maybe like a full, I won't say it's always going to be in the same room, but like almost like a full track, I think is a goal for us right now, although it could be expanded, and of course it could get a little smaller. And Colette's staring at me. She hasn't come through the camera yet to choke me, so I don't think I've stepped on it too much here.
I mean, we just want to make clear that we are very much paying attention to the COVID-19 situation. Clearly, we can certainly express that we want the overall goal to be to have as many fans as are able to participate at DisCon III, whether they are able to travel to us in DC. We welcome you. We will love having you with us in person, but we will also have online options. There is some travel information on our website regarding information about the visa waiver program. Many countries in Europe, basically, you just have to fill out a quick form to be able to come into the United States, of course, with a valid passport and all of that. And clearly everybody should make decisions based upon their own situation. But definitely, I'll start this pitch now. Follow us on our social media. We are at Worldcon 2021 for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. And so at this point, then we will keep that updated, and then certainly check with your country's travel advisories and travel information. Who knows? There may still be, arrival in country quarantines in place at the time, but certainly make your decisions according to the information available, like when you're purchasing your ticket.
It would also be a good thing to go ahead and get your supporting membership now.
If somebody wanted to become a member, how would they do that, Bill?
So the best way, and right now the only way to do it, is to go to our website. There is a membership page, and you can fill out the information there, pay online, and supporting membership gets you started so that you'll continue to make sure you receive our information. Plus, you'll be set so that you'll get information when it's time to start the nominations for the Hugo Awards in January, and then the vote, which will follow later.
Yeah, so a supporting membership gets you all the benefits of Worldcon membership. Voting for the Hugo Awards,
nominating and voting for the Hugo Awards, as well as also voting for where the Worldcon will take place 2 years ahead of our Worldcon. So you'd be voting for the 2023. Yeah. And then, of course, you just can't physically attend. Of course, that would be the attending membership would obviously then kick into that. Right. And at this time, we have not set a virtual membership because we don't know the scope and scale. There may be a step up price for attending a bunch of virtual panels that we do. It will not be the full price. The full attending price, it would be a lesser thing, but it would likely be above the supporting membership if we're doing a substantial amount of things. If it's only a couple of items, it's likely we'll stick with the supporting members have that right. Yeah. Supporting attending members can view the virtual activities.
Sure. I know that one of the things that our community, the Worldcon community, is really pushing correctly, in my opinion, is diversity and inclusion. Being a more diverse community, being more a welcoming, inclusive community. And I know that a lot of Worldcons have taken initiatives for that, and our Worldcon is planning on some things, I believe, and I know that even future Worldcon bids have also expressed plans that they're doing, at least they're hoping to do, if they do get the honor of hosting a Worldcon. Can both of you speak to the plans that we currently have in motion right now in terms of inclusion and diversity?
We are very happy to announce that DisCon 3 has started what we are calling our Capitalize Fan Fund, where we are bringing in program participants, fans, staff, wide range of underrepresented attendees to the Worldcon. Certainly, anybody from around the world is can apply to get a travel stipend if you're from out of the DC area, and then also a complimentary membership to come to DisCon 3. Our applications for those will open in mid-October, and then we will start reviewing the applications and awarding those stipends and memberships in the spring of 2021. We also have a first Worldcon membership, which is a reduced rate membership, because we have seen, and certainly it's been the case with Adam and with Bill and myself here on this presentation, where once people are able to get to Worldcon, they find they really enjoy it, and so they keep coming back. So we have a reduced rate of a first Worldcon membership, which kind of gets you pulled in for a reduced price, and then we hope that you enjoy it enough that you stick around and that you keep traveling to the Worldcon year after year. I've many friends and such who basically their annual vacation is somewhere in the world, wherever the Worldcon is. And then one of our initiatives, not so much applicable for Eurocon attendees, but if you have any colleagues or friends in the Washington, D.C. area, we are offering to residents of Washington, D.C. and basically a 20-mile radius from the border of Washington, D.C., a pay-what-you-can membership for DisCon 3. Basically for folks who can, who are as excited as we are that the Worldcon is in Washington, D.C. for the first time in 47 years and want to come. They may, be a traditionally underrepresented group. They could just be, many of us have been hit economically by the global pandemic. Funds might be a little low, but they're just like, wow, I want to hop on Metro and see what all this amazing that I've heard so much about, and see it for myself. And so, whatever they can afford, we have that availability for them to come and check us out and participate. It can be on program. They can, if they're an artist, they can, show their pieces in the art show and, really just add, so much, wonderful, inclusion, local DC flavor, all of that to DisCon 3.
Nothing, Bill? No?
Well, I mean, you know what? This is where I bring up the dunk tank. The dunk tank for charity, which are, if we are planning to do a dunk tank and have people like myself and maybe Colette and some of our other notable attendees, past Worldcon chair Dave McCarty, have volunteered to go up there, and the money that we earn for dunking each other to cool off from the hot weather is going to be passed forward to help people attend the next Worldcon after us. So it's a little thing. We have no idea how much money we could potentially earn doing this. Although, maybe we can get James Bacon up there, and his former staff can go ahead and spend thousands of dollars dunking him, and we'll maybe let him pay to put some ice in there so it's cool, really cool as well.
Any final thoughts before we sign off?
Honestly, I mean, I just want to say, I hope we can see many of you at DisCon 3 next year. Again, if you have any questions, you can go to our website, which is discon3.org. For that, we use the numeral 3. And then, again, you can follow us on all of our social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all at Worldcon 2021. And then you can also email us at info@discon3.org. We've got a great team. We are very happy to answer any questions you have. And we look forward to seeing as many of you as we can in Washington, D.C. next year.